it showed me that like the studio is just like it's like a day at the beach for Lemmy.
Hello everybody and welcome to Kohle Audio Kult. Today I want to talk Motörhead. Have you ever worked with Lemmy Kilmister? I haven't, what a pity. But today I'm gonna talk to someone who has recorded, produced and mixed no less than 6 Motörhead albums, including one of my favorites, Inferno. And I want to find out how it is to work with those guys. Because, as you might know, right now, inside my academy, Kohle Audio Kult, we are mixing a Motörhead song. The Motörhead song Electricity from the Bad Magic album. And yes, you can get your hands on those original Motörhead multitracks. Download the multitracks and mix the song yourself. And you can watch their producer and mixer, Mr. Cameron Webb, walking you through his original mix. So this is a wonderful opportunity to get your hands on the multitracks of a legendary band. There's a link below. You can either just get the course and the multitracks, the Motörhead stuff, or you become a member of Kohle Audio Kult and you get so much more for almost the same price. Check out the link below. But now I want to fly over to California, to Maple Studios in Orange County, where I visited Mr. Cameron Webb, Motörhead producer and mixer Cameron Webb, to talk about how it is to work with those guys. Enjoy. Hello boys and girls, we are back at Maple Studios and today we want to talk Motörhead. And as you know, I'm a big Motörhead fan and I have a pretty big vinyl collection. Started when I was 10 or something.
What's your favorite record?
It's actually Iron Fist.
Okay.
Which is not very popular. So that's the last one before, with Fast Eddie.
Okay.
Before Brian Robertson took over, 83. Another Perfect Day. Okay. And I also love that album.
Yeah. Orgasmatron and Rock and Roll. Those are my 2 favorites.
Okay.
By far.
But I also really like Inferno.
Yeah.
You know that album?
I know it well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good one.
That's the first record I did.
Okay, that's the first one you did.
That's the first one I did, and I had definitely had like a focus and a direction for him, and I listened to it the other day in the car, and I was like, I love it still. I'm very proud of that work.
Oh. And how is working with Lemmy, or how was it? Like, let me know.
You know what? There's ups and downs. You know, I enjoyed every record we made. There was a lot of hard days and there were fun days. Lemmy loved to tell stories, so that was great. Like it was like sitting in a bar with your friend, just stories all day long, and then a little bit of recording of bass or vocals. Let's put it this way: it's when you go into a record with an artist and you have a vision of what it is. It's never going to stay the same. And I was a little bit naive at that time. I was probably 31 years old or something. And I thought it was going to go my way. And the first day came around. And I remember it was the first day we were recording bass guitar. Lemmy shows up and he goes, "Hey, you ever heard Hawkwind before?" I said, "Well, a little bit." He goes, "I got this record. I want to play you a song." So he puts on this record, and we're in a fancy studio, or it's called Paramount Studios in Hollywood. So it's kind of expensive, and I'm very like budget conscious at this time in my career. And he played the one song, and then the song kept playing, and I was like, "Wait, we're listening to more than one song?" We listened for over 90 minutes of this Hawkwind record.
Were like,
and I'm like, we got to work, I got time, money, and stuff like that. And what it did is it like. Yeah, I was nervous that day, but it kind of like it showed me that like the studio is just like it's like a day at the beach for Lemmy. It's what he likes to do. It's fun for him. Like he's either gonna go to the bar or he's gonna go home or he's gonna go to the studio.
That sounds really like rockstar production. So you had many days where there was not a lot of actual work because he didn't feel like.
We always went to work, and he always came in mentally to work, but we didn't always accomplish everything or something every day. And some days we'd do something and redo it the next day. It wasn't like he was walking in there like a rock star. He was just, it was maybe let's just say maybe he was hungover one day. We all know he loves his Jack and Coke, so maybe that day was slower or whatever it is. Like we had a lot of ups and downs, and you had to understand that the goal was to finish this record at some point. Yeah, we usually went over about a month or so, but never much more than that.
Oh, really? Okay.
But Lemmy was always very conscious of like, hey man, I got a tour coming up. We got to finish this and do that. So
was he demanding? Like, would you say like he was pushing you?
Let's put it this way. He's like an army general. So when he walks in the room, he's the leader, and he's going to be nice about how he presents the leadership. But if you're screwing up, he's going to call you out and he's going to yell at you. He's going to tell you you're fucking up. You better get your shit together for tomorrow when you show up. And if you do the next day, then you're there each day. I hate to say it, if you were a coward and just like, oh my God, I can't believe he yelled at me, then you'd probably just quit.
Or you could fired. Also you could yell back and criticize him.
You could yell back, yeah. And he liked that. He liked the resistance.
Yeah.
We used to yell all the time, and visitors would come to the studio like to watch, and all of a sudden Lemmy's yelling at me, Cameron, turn up the friggin' bass. And I'd be like, Lemmy, I'm working on it. Cameron, can't you hear me? Lemmy, shut up, I'm working on this. Like, and we would battle. We would literally fight. And then what would happen at the end of the day, we'd walk out to the cars and be like, good day, mate. Good day. And we'd walk out and we'd just part our ways. Nice. And then the next morning we'd come in and we might battle, or it's just, every day was different though. Like people that are just getting into production and music, like they have all these visions of what it's going to be, or this is going to be perfect, or that's going to be perfect. And like, life's not perfect, and people aren't perfect. And you really got to understand that. And perfection's kind of boring too. So it's like, you can't control people like Motörhead, or even other artists that I deal with, whether it's that or so many of them. You just have to work with them. You have to, basically our job is to not to control them, it's to organize them and to put everything into a final product and commit things. Yeah. And that's a really important thing. And I think maybe that's why we got along so well, is because they were out there to like just make noise and do their thing, and I was capturing and catching it, but letting them be free to do what they wanted to do.
And like doing 6 albums, because Motörhead is kind of like AC/DC, you know, you're not going to change the music that much, you know, it is what it is. And how did you keep things interesting?
You have to keep things interesting, and I knew that from the beginning. Whether it's as simple as like bringing a gift to someone, bringing a sword to Lemmy one day, or bringing a new amplifier each day to Phil, saying, hey, check out this amp, or check out this. And after the first record, I was definitely I was acknowledging that I had kind of taken control of the situation. So the second record, I'm like, I'm going to give him a little more freedom. And then the third, I gave a little more. And then I realized I was giving too much freedom, and I had to take it back. And I did. And on the next, it was called The World Is Yours.
You were like feeling too safe or something, like, or
it wasn't too safe. It was probably getting too loose. Is probably what it was getting. And my whole vision was Motörhead was it's powerful. When you listen to them and you stand in front of their amps, it's just like it's so exciting. And I think I was worried that it was going to get less exciting, so I made sure we focused on tones, and I made sure we focused on power. And with Lemmy, like, if he wanted a part to be big, I'd say, hey, what if you doubled the bass? And Lemmy would be like, yeah.
Oh, really?
Can we triple it? And I'd be like, yeah. Can we quadruple it? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. And then it would be a chaos after a while, and we'd look at each other and be like, this sucks. Let's go back to the double. But we would do stuff like that.
That's nice. That's cool. That's cool.
So, like, and I was very conscious about it getting sterile. And there was a point on Aftershock, this record Aftershock we did. Yeah. They did 10 songs, and I knew in pre-production that 5 of the songs weren't good enough. And I knew that Lemmy was going to be miserable writing lyrics to him. And they fought me, and no, this record's good. Well, we started the record, and we started recording. We got the first 5 songs done, and the next 5, Lemmy looks at me and goes, I think these songs are crap, Cameron. And I said, I told you a month ago.
But that would have been my next question, is how much, let's say, creative work or work on the songwriting happened before, and how much happened during the actual...
On the first couple records, they'd go to a rehearsal studio, SIR or Kohle, and they'd sit there for maybe 2 weeks to a month, whatever it was, and they would write songs. Normally it meant that Mickey and Phil would play guitar and bass, guitar and drums, guitar and drums, and then Lemmy would be writing lyrics and talking to them about it, and they would build songs that way.
But together.
They're all together. Yeah, they were all together for that period of time, and then occasionally Lemmy would say, "Hey, I got this blues song. Can we play a blues song?" So they throw a blues song in there. But as it went on, like sometimes there were songs that Lemmy didn't like to sing as much. The slower, sort of trudgier stuff, he wasn't a big fan of. And Phil is great at writing those riffs. So those are easy for Phil. So it's just it's that side of things where like I had to look back and say, I think we're creating that song that we did on the last record and the record before in not a good way. And I had to try to point them in a direction. And here's the thing. They wrote the songs. They wrote the lyrics. They wrote the drums. I was there to help control and maybe organize.
So you was present during the pre-production or rehearsal, songwriting
I'd be present.
stage?
I would often let them just be on their own first, and they would come in maybe later in the day, and then we would talk about it. And most of those records, too, though, the way Lemmy works is he likes to be in the studio writing. So he would sometimes write at home, and other times he'd come to the studio and say, "Hey, I need it quiet for an hour," and he would write a song. And then he'd show it to me, and we'd either perform it, or we'd talk about it, or I'd say, "Is that the best you can do?" And he'd take it and throw it away and be like, "No, I'll do another one." And he'd write another song. Okay. So I have lyric sheets that are like just old songs that he just threw away all the time.
He has books. He has his own Lemmy books, like filled with
old lyrics,
and paintings,
things that are thrown away,
funny stuff.
Yeah, it's fun, and then so I was part of that process the whole time, but they made their songs. It's the funny thing. The very first time Lemmy ever showed me a song, he wrote down all the lyrics and he showed me the lyrics and he goes, "How's this song?" And I go, "Well, what's the melody?" And he goes, "Read the fucking lyrics, Cameron." And I go, "No, I don't understand. Like these lyrics could be junk or they could be great depending on what the melody is." Yeah. And he just made me look at it, and then I read it as poetry, basically, and then he would perform it, and then we'd find out if it was right for the song or not. But he was definitely very into like the lyrical content of what he was writing, more so than I think people think. People are like, "Oh, Ace of Spades, yeah, rah, rah, rah." It's like, no, there's like cleverness, there's jokes, there's poetry and all those.
And there's some really deep songs. I remember 1916 and stuff like that. Yeah. And what about the studios? So how often did you return, and how often did you go somewhere else?
You know what? It seemed like we went to studios based off of availability a lot of times. Okay. We tracked a couple records at NRG Studios. We did one record at Dave Grohl's 606, and that was really nice, huge facility, amazing Neve.
He bought this old Neve, right? Yeah, right.
He bought the old Sound City console. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's killer, and it was inspiring to be there. It was fun. And then when we would track, we'd look for cheaper studios to do bass and vocals because we didn't need a full drum room and stuff like that. Right. And I think the first couple records we did a lot at Paramount because they gave us a good deal, and then slowly they hiked the price up, and the manager Todd's like, "We got to find a new place." So we did a bunch of work at a place called Sage and Sound, and that was a good deal. But always at a quality studio. No rinky-dink home studios or anything. It was
always in LA or around LA.
Always in LA, yeah. Orange County once with Phil, but in general it was all LA. And then we'd mix it up there too. I mixed him at
so you didn't mix at your place, or you always mixed in all right.
I mixed one record here. Motorizer was done here. Okay. But the rest were either done at... Lemmy's favorite place for me to mix was Paramount Studios. And the reason why is they had a J9000 console at Paramount in the back room, Studio C, I think, and it had moving faders. Mm-hmm. And I mixed one of the other records at a place called Henson Sound, and it was the same studio that they recorded mixed the Black record in. Wow. But it didn't have moving faders. So I think when Lemmy was watching me work, it looked like I was lazy because I wasn't doing
There was nothing.
So literally after 8 days in this freaking...
That's how he chooses the studio. Yeah.
8 days in this freaking studio, he looks at me and he goes, we need to go to Paramount to remix this record. I'm like, what? We just mixed 14 songs. Like don't they? He's like, nah, it sounds like crap. We need to go somewhere else. So he doesn't fire me. He just basically says we need to go to a different studio. How about that place we mixed the other records?
And you got a heart attack or what?
No, I was like, I called the manager. I said, hey, do we have money to do this again? And he's like, do we have to? I'm like, yeah.
So you did?
Yeah, we remixed it at Paramount. Damn. And they saw the faders moving.
Was that difficult for you? Because if you do it once, that was just...
It's not difficult. It was
from
just
scratch, or was it already like a Pro Tools session where you could... No.
It was pretty much from scratch. Okay. When I was doing those records, I was putting out on the console, all out on the console, because he liked to see that, and it's more fun. But here's the thing. You can't do that with everyone, because other people, they're not in town. They're everywhere in the world. Yeah. Lemmy was sitting next to me the whole time. So,
and it was one project, because I'm working on 15 projects these days. You know, Monday you just do this, Tuesday you record something. You have to.
I would do a song a day, and at the end of the day, we'd make changes and this and that. And when we went home, it was over. Yeah. It was totally over, unless they had to move studios, but it was done each night because he committed to it, I committed to it.
Done.
And I took it to the car 5 times before and made sure it was okay. But that's the most fun way to make a record. When you're turning knobs, your body's moving. It's not like you're just clicking tick 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 tick. That gets boring after a while. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I get
painful.
it. I get it.
It can be painful. And it's silly. I got this little PreSonus like fader pack thing. So when I want to do like vocal rides, I pop it there and then I physically move a fader. And it's controlling the computer.
I got the same thing from Steinberg Cubase.
The reason why I have a console is because I can't stand all the stuff being on racks. Like, I think my overheads are here. This is here. It's just like chaos. Like to me, my brain isn't focusing on the music. Here with a board, it's all just sitting there and it's like you can. Here's the thing. I look at like the technology is all great and it's fun and I like to do it, but the reality of what music is the people behind the glass performing. And if you're paying attention to the technology, you're not paying attention to the artist. Yeah. And
everything that's distracting.
Everything is and I think your product suffers. And I'm fast at Pro Tools. I've been using it for over 20 years. So to me, people come in, they're like, "Wow, you're so quick." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not even thinking about that anymore. My brain doesn't even think about Pro Tools. It's literally hitting F12 to record, and then I'm just listening to them. I'm not like moving fader, doing all this crazy shit. It's like, but I think that's important because now I'm always attentive to the artist, whether it's the performance or their emotional state, whatever it is. I'm definitely like focused on them. And same thing was with Motörhead. Like I was very conscious of their moods and what we were doing and how and why. Like I was always paying attention and seeing when the problems were about to occur, trying to like change the mood. Even it's as simple as like, hey, let's go get some lunch.
Yeah, right. Like, I know what you mean.
Okay.
The same with every band, basically, right? It's like
same with every band. Seriously.
So working with Motörhead is just like no, it is not. But thank you so much for listening to you, man.
It is not like working with every other band. No.
No, it's great. It's great. And I'm going to grab one of those Lemmy books now and look at his paintings. They're hilarious. Great. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. That was such a cool day. But you know what? We did not only talk about Motörhead that day when I was there. We spent the whole day in the studio mainly to record some dirty bass tones, to reamp some bass tracks that I brought with me, through some guitar amps, even through Lemmy's original amp and original cabinets. And he showed me how he dialed in the Motörhead track. So there will be a lot more cool courses coming up inside Kohle Audio Kult with Cameron Webb. In the meantime, if you want to mix the Motörhead song Electricity, check out the links below. You're just one click away from either becoming a member of Kohle Audio Kult or just grabbing those multi-tracks. It's fun. It's so much fun to mix that song. Check out the link below. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. I see you inside the cult or on YouTube. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.